did you spend on that, Chair? Even on the one of part personal allowances, because you are saying 37% on these personal allowances of difference of in the previous year, it was 899 million. In this year of 2020-2021, it was 995 million. So who are these people that were being paid personal allowances as part of salary, and what was the reason? Because I just need that narration. And Governor McHugh, financial statements are generated by the gentleman seated with, so it's your own documents. So what I'm using is your own documents. I'm not generating any other document. Chair?
Yeah, Governor, I think the Senate has made reference to your financial statements, particularly page 22, and these are the reports of your entity. So please try and address the questions without choosing only the easy ones.
Chair, I'm not choosing the easy ones. It's only that some of the questions that he has asked requires one to go back to the records and definitely do some calculations. Because if he asks for the record of the employees and how many they are not on the record here. If they were available, you would not be asking the question because you would see it. That would mean I have to go back to records. So I would encourage that you give me more time to get that record because I don't have it here, Chair.
I think a question that we must deal with is your percentage spent on compensation of employees. You have given us a figure of 37%, which does not add up when we look at the numbers before us.
Chair, that is the current position because he asked what is the current percentage of salaries to the total revenue for the Rakanidi County at the moment.
Oh, so that was current. So let's restrict ourselves to this financial year. What was it in this financial year?
Well, Chair, let me just give my people a little bit more time kindly to calculate how much
point of order,
the percentage
Chair. Governor, did you come with the people of human resource or county secretary?
I do not have human resource here, Chair. I only have the accounting department.
I thought your people should advise you that there would be HR audit issues and therefore at least county secretary or any person from human resource. Because it largely appears in almost virtual of your 3 financial statements.
Chair,
did you leave them intentionally so that they...
Chair, can I answer that?
Can I finish?
Yes.
Governor, or you intentionally left them so that the questions remain hanging?
Governor?
Chair, I was here last week on Wednesday, meeting another committee and committee of cohesion. My senator was there. I had full team of HR, including the council secretary and HR director.
Governor,
no, I want to...
orders.
Yes.
And you have been a legislator. There's a standing order that says matters before another committee shall not be referred to. So restrict yourself to your presentation before this. And I think it's a question that should not take you more than a minute, so that we can go to the substantive issues.
Yeah, Chair, I was just trying to say it's not intentional to leave those. Now that when I realize that you need details on the HR issues, we would not have left them because we have them in place. It's only that I thought for all the years I've come here, because this is my 6th year, I have never been asked to bring along the HR staff with me. We've always had issues resolved without them. But Chair, I'm guided. I will bring them with me next time because I know this is not the last time I'm appearing here.
I think take it as an advisory because if you look at the cross-cutting issues in these 3 financial years, they are human resource and procurement. And human resource and procurement are regulated professions. We have been putting accountants on the spot for preparation of financial statements that do not meet the requirements of the standard. It is time we also held human resource professionals to account, as well as procurement professionals. It will not be proper for an accountant to carry the burden of a procurement officer. And yet these are two distinct professions, regulated and established through acts of parliament. So I think going forward, always scan your reports and see what the cross-cutting issues are. If there are procurement issues, make sure that the head of procurement, who is a member of the institute, is here. If there are HR issues, make sure the head of HR, who is a member of the institute, is here, as well as the chair and the secretary of the County Public Service Board. Now, that brings us back to the question of that percentage. Because I've seen it in all your reports, the report of the CCM, the risk that is flagged in your county is a heavy wage bill, which takes upwards of 40% of your revenues. And I think it is important for us to have that conversation here, considering that it is these senators who are going to make a decision on the next formula for revenue sharing. If we do not appreciate the concerns of Tharaka Nithi, for example, and only listen to Nairobi, and only listen to Nandi and Homa Bay, how do we then make a decision at that point that ensures continuity of services in Tharaka Nithi? And I've looked at your financial statements, and I'm seeing even if you lost 100 million Kenya shillings through a formula that is not favorable to you, your county might be technically insolvent, because you'll just be paying salaries and fueling vehicles, and there'll be nothing to run development. So I'll want us to focus a bit on that question that was raised with a view to having some policy conversations rather than just breaking down numbers. But before we get into that, let me allow Senator Mariam Omar and Senator Dulo.
Chair, maybe let me take you back to the question. The question one, it has two queries. One is understatement of the composition of the employee with 3.5 billion. Yes, the governor have explained it is arrears, and you have taken, there is annexed which you have attached, but Chair, with the explanation, yes, but when it comes to now clearing the query, the annex attached is the same figure of 2.3. So I'm expecting the annex to be 3.3 plus the understated figure. So to me, auditors say this is well addressed, but to me it's not addressed. And maybe if it has been addressed, it must be giving us the attachments or extract from the next financial year, that's 2020, to show that there is the figure has been included in the financial account of 2022.
Auditor, that's a very valid point that we must deal with. Does the 2.3 billion include the 3.5 million and 33.0 million? Does it? Because that is your original concern, understatement. Understatement of compensation of employees. Now, from the explanation by the county, they are talking of figures that came from IFMIS. They are talking of figures that were payment of salary arrears to county employees who had already left. And they are talking of payment to staff without UPN. So when you add all that, does it come to 2.332? Or 2.332 is understated?
Thank you, Chair. The figure of 2.332 is understated, as you are putting it.
So it means that the problem has not been resolved.
Correct. It's not.
Chair, now they are bringing in this issue of now the difference between the IFMIS records, whatever figures they were generating from the IFMIS, and then the IPPD. That is what was bringing around that particular difference. in the
OIG.
figures.
So the compensation of employees has been understated by 36 million. 3 plus 33. Is that the position? 3.5 million, 33.017 million. Isn't that what you're saying in mathematical terms?
The 33 million is arising out of the manual bill. Yes.
Is the 33 million part of the 2.3 billion?
Yes, yes, Chair.
Is the 3.5 million part of the 2.3 billion?
Yes, Chair.
OIG, can you go back and reflect on that response? OAG, you have said there was an understatement. Is 2.3 billion understated, or 2.3 billion includes everything, including the manual payments? Patrick?
Chairman, I want to request you to allow my team a few minutes or time to be able to reflect on that issue as you said earlier. Because it appears we may not be able to give you a complete answer now.
Okay, Senator Dulo?
Chair, number one, I wanted to know why this matter continuously appears. What challenge are you facing to correct this anomaly? Number two, I mean, we are being told the payments have gone to Paymaster General Treasury, Southern Star, Circle Society. These are just figures actually put in a tabulation. Do we have evidence of those payments directly?
I think that was to the auditor.
No,
Or
the county.
Or to the county. Governor, I hope you got that question. Governor, unfortunately now I cannot read your lips, but there must be a reason why you have put that on.
Chair, I just realized I had already reported to you, Chair, that I'm having a call, but of course it escalates when one talks more. So I don't want to infect my people, the people who are my neighbors, including you, Chair. So do I answer
Would
the
that
question?
give us a medical reason not to proceed?
No reason, Chair. We even proceeded during time of COVID. It's just a call.
No, it is not on your part. It is on our part. We are the ones who are exposed.
That's why I protected you, Chair, using a mask.
You are protected. We are not protected.
And I use my mask, Chair, you're protected.
For the last 1 hour, the viruses have just been circulating in the room.
Correct.
Chair,
that cannot be fair to all these delegations.
Yes.
To catch the mpox from Tarakaniti.
Yes. Chair, one of the symptoms of mpox is not coughing, Chair. I have that knowledge. And the social distance between me and you is more than the 2 meters that is recommended, Chair. So you're not at any risk.
Anyway, proceed.
So to answer the question of Senator for Isiolo, this is the Excel sheet that I was talking about that we use in paying for salaries. Of course, once we amalgamate the pay for employees that are in every particular bank, then we transfer one tranche, not as per employee. Then we attach a list.
It's good to Chair. I think Governor is good to share an example. This is really what happened, and that is the evidence I'm asking for.
So what you have given here is the table is, for example, base salaries of civil service payroll. What went to Southern Star was it 3,774,000. Chair, we have not attached the list of these employees, but in the event that required, we can ask our people to generate the same, because this is derived from the paymaster. And from this also, it is possible to get this from the pay that is usually deducted, which is normally a record that goes directly to government through KRA. It is there. But we can provide the list if this committee so wishes. We can do that.
Second question. Why are you unable to resolve this issue?
Well, Chair, if you look at the number of employees we had paid that time and the one we are reporting today of 2, it means that we adequately resolve the issues, and I've given the reason for why we are down to 2 from the numbers that were there before, which were 129. We are now at 2 employees who can be verified, and I've given the reasons why. So we have really attempted to address the issue, to move away completely from manual payroll. Chair.
I think let's deal with now the bigger elephant in the room, is that ratio, which seems to be getting worse. So in that financial year, your technicians, have they worked out what the percentage was?
Yes, Chair.
It was?
It is 44%.
44%?
Yes.
In the following year?
I think that year was 37, the following year was 44.
No, Governor, the numbers are there. It cannot
44,
be 37. Year ended 30th June 2021, you paid 2.3 billion as compensation against total receipts of 5.3 billion. So that brings it to 43.
More or less, Chair.
43%. The following year, for some reason, your receipts from the County Revenue Fund dropped by 500 million. And therefore, your ratio went to 50%.
Chair.
Could you reflect?
Yes, I am
on that drop.
Yes,
on
Chair.
that 500 million drop.
Yes, Chair.
From your recollection, what was the cause?
Chair, it is due to unremitted exchequer, because when you cross the year with a balance of 2 months, that definitely means 2 months salaries, and therefore, because most of the times we have to borrow money from the banks to pay the salary, by the time, if you look at the total amount that has been remitted and what you paid, then the percentage is definitely due to go up.
So you're saying the 500 million was not an actual loss, it was an accounting, it was just an issue of accounting timelines?
I believe it must have been timelines, Chair, because there's no way we can have a difference of 500 million.
Yeah, because I'm looking at with the advantages that we have all the reports before us, and I can see that in the subsequent year, your transfer from CRF was 4.1 billion versus 4.6 billion in the prior year. And even if there were delays in remittance, there's a way Treasury allows you a window to account for that money in that financial year. But let's deal with what is before us. So what is the measure, what is that big thing you're doing as governor to bring this down to the ratio that is required? I had talked about, and has related this to the formula for revenue allocation. In the past, we had a fiscal responsibility measure. It was about 2%. And 2% of 400 billion translates to 8 billion Kenya shillings. Now, assuming 8 billion, the Senate would distribute it to counties that had proper fiscal responsibility measures, where your payroll is not above 35%, your development comes close to 30%, and your on-source revenue targets are continually being met. You are governor in a particular year when Lamu received, I think Lamu received almost 500 million shillings as a result of that index. Now, we are teaching you not how to cheat, but we are teaching you the things that you can do to increase the revenue that comes to Tharaka Nithi. If you're fiscally responsible, we can reintroduce that index, and that can allow Tharaka Nithi to access hundreds of millions of shillings. So what is it that you are doing to achieve that fiscal responsibility measure, Governor? Because we are saying that if you can achieve it, we can reward it. But if it's at 50%, then we cannot reward it.
Chair, the disadvantage and the hardship the small counties go through is an example of what Tharaka Nithi is having at the moment. When I say small counties, I'm more talking about in terms of landmass, in terms of allocation. Tharaka Nithi is usually number 2 or 3 from the bottom in terms of allocation. We have the same number of CECs and same number of the salary of governor remains the same, salary of almost other employees. The demand for health sector remains the same. So we have to do a delicate balance between providing liquidity service and having the adequate number of employees, or just at least trying to meet the requirement vis-a-vis reducing the number of employees. That is the biggest problem. And when you have a formula that increases the allocation to counties, you should look at the percentage of increment in counties like Tharaka Nithi, Isiolo, Lamu, and I think also Elgeyo Marakwet. It's usually very minimal. So what the measures we've taken first is increasing our own source revenue. And if you look at where we are at the moment, Chair, we have come from a low of 79 million per year in the year 2017. We are now at 430 million without having to overtax the taxpayers in Tharaka Nithi, which is a big increment. If we had a formula that can cushion the small counties by having affirmative action, of having increasing the percentage of the equitable share before you apply the other parameters, that will make a lot of sense to us. We should, if every county was at around between 6 and 7 billion before you apply, then that would solve this problem, because we cannot reduce the number of employees in some areas. The ECDs, I have 450 ECD centers. I cannot decide to have 200 and leave 400. I still have a push to have the second, what they call the second class, which is ECD2, which I'm not able to even pay. The parents are paying for themselves in BOM caregivers. Chair.
Do you have an approved staff establishment?
Well, we have, Chair, and we are very far from even meeting even half of it. Our approved establishment is around 12,000 employees. We are at 2,600.
12,000 employees?
Yes, yes, Chair. That is the approved one.
Approved by? Who approved that? Because the approval must be at county level. The approval cannot be Nairobi. How did you work out that you needed 12,000?
That was done in 2013, even before I came in, but I believe it was approved both at the county level and at the national level, because that is what would say would be the adequate employees for the Tharaka Nithi County.
No, Governor, those caps. Those caps that was done by Waiguru as CS. But caps needed to be domesticated. And that's why Vice Chair was not making an idle comment when he said we need the HR people here so that we can take to task those charged with that responsibility. Because I think that perhaps is where your problem lies. You have not addressed whether you have the right number of staff, leave alone the staff establishment. Because as it is now, how many employees do you have out of that aspirational 12?
Sorry, Chair. At the moment, I have 2,641 permanent and pensionable employees, or those, including those who are on long-term contracts, and the approved establishment is 12,000. Chair.
Senator Dula?
Yeah, Chair, I wanted to know.
Vice Chair.
So, how much do you pay per month to your staff? not necessarily on this year under review, but even the last disbursement that you got from the National Treasury, how much do you pay per month?
We pay between 180 million and 211. What varies in the month is we usually don't pay our CHPs every month. We consolidate it to 3 months. That makes a difference on that month when we pay higher. We also have another category called road marshals, which you also pay in quarterly. But it's between 180 million to 211 per month.
Yeah, which is hefty.
You, Chair, are these, for example, road marshals and others like CHVs, do you classify them as temporary, casual, or contractual employees?
Chair, that is, I would say they are in the category of temporary employees, because you cannot call somebody who is being paid a stipend of 3,500 an employee. It is something that is in law that was passed by the National Assembly when we changed them to CHPs the other day. It is the only way we can afford to provide, to attempt to provide universal health coverage of universal health care for Kenyans.
So how many, Governor, how many, because I've never had this issue of stipend in most of the counties, so how many, let me not call employees because you have said let's not use strict sense of the word, how many people do you pay stipend in Tharaka Nithi?
I have 1,357 community health promoters.
Sorry, come back again.
1,357 community health promoters, and I have 800 road marshals.
What is the work of these road marshals? You don't have traffic in Tharaka.
The road marshals is a model that was invented in Tharaka Nithi, and other counties studying it to see whether it can work. Counties spend a lot of money on repair and maintenance of roads, because most of the roads in counties, the mode of making those roads is grading and marraming, because most counties can't afford to, not just counties only, even the national government. That is why we have roads that are graded and marramed. And what happens with the rains is that a road can be done this year, and the next year there's no road because of drainage and because of rains. So we realize the reason why most of those roads get washed away is because of blockage of drainage channels, either by human traffic, human activities, or just by the rains. So we realize by engaging volunteers of road marshals who are paid a stipend, you can skip doing a road for 1 year or 2 years by ensuring that you have a young man who is allocated 2 or 3 kilometers to maintain that road by making sure drainage channels are not blocked, and also educating the public on blocking those ways into their homes, which they usually block at the drainage, to make way to their homes. And that way water flows and we save the road. Out of this system we have audited, we are saving a lot of money as Tharaka Nithi County.
Is that an HR or a development spend?
And is it same through the chair also? Then what is the work of Roads and Transport Department, the road supervisors, the people you hire? In hiring road marshals, is it just bush clearing and opening of culverts? You have just given a fancy name?
Governor?
Yeah, I have given a very good narration, in my opinion, on why those people are necessary and why a county like Tharaka Nithi that enjoys only about between 800 and 1 billion for development, with a lot of road network that we cannot afford to do every year. Why the road marshals are important, why they do. It is not something that was invented by the executive and just implemented. It was taken through the county assembly. There was a law. We have an act in place which is gazetted here and approved. It is there in Katiba Institute, and also the controller of budget approved the same, because there is proof that we save a lot of money by doing that. The CHPs that we are talking about, some counties are hearing about it for the first time. We still have 7 counties that don't implement the same. But I would like you to check what the health status of those counties in terms of preventive as compared to promotive. Tharaka-Nithi has implemented a program of community health, or what we call the CHPs, since the year 2013. They were very minimal, about 200 of them. We increased them to 1,300 in the year 2017, and that has made a lot of difference. It is just an innovative way of ensuring that we meet the service that the people require at a minimal cost.
Senator Omtata.
Maybe so that I exit neatly. Chair, I'm still interested with these road marshals, 800, the governor says COB. I have never known in law that COB approves staff establishment. This is very interesting. But anyway, that's beside the point. These 800 road marshals, governor, do you have a proof to indicate that you have saved money by having these people being given stipend? And can you table the same, because that is just narration? Do you have evidence to that effect?
Yes, we do, and we can table that to the committee later, not right now. But just think of a situation where
you are not the one to determine whether it's tabled right now or later. It's the work of the chair, or you want to use up the powers of the chair?
I'm well guided. I just mean that we don't have it at the moment. Probably in my language.
I think leave it at that, Governor. Senator Omtata. Then we come to Senator.
Mainly just a comment on what His Excellency has said about the roads, that people block the roads to gain access to their homes. I'm just wondering about the quality of contractors you hire and the kind of roads you build if they're interfering with access to people's homes. I thought it's a mandatory requirement that when you do a road, you have to provide a culvert to people's homes. So what kind of roads are you constructing in Tharaka-Nithi, Excellency? And you care about the rights of the residents?
Very good question, through Chair, for Senator Omtata.
Be careful with the way you refer to members, because you are going to cause problems amongst your colleagues.
Some of them are prayers, Chair.
You are going to have problems with incumbents.
Sometimes I normally say what I'm thinking ahead, Chair. So if I refer to a senator as a
restrict yourself to facts.
Point of
I corrected, Chair.
Senator Sifuna, what's out of order?
I would never object to any form of prayers, but in the case of Omtata, that one is a very bad prayer for Omtata, because as you know, he's the Gen Z president in waiting.
Yes.
Or for him to be demoted in the manner that has happened here. Those are the prayers.
Governor of a border town.
Mr. Chair, it is very unfortunate for the Secretary General to recognize the patron without recognizing his deputy, who is me.
But that will be a Western alliance. You will lose in the first round.
In that case,
need to look for the
order. Your ambitions are messing up my meeting.
Members out of order.
Let's get back to.
You should not forget Murima.
Governor was explaining something. He just used the wrong description of Senator Omtata. Maybe in a minute's time.
Chair, I was trying to explain the road marshals. Whether you have culverts or no culverts, and sometimes culverts are very expensive, yes, and you cannot have adequate culverts for every kilometer of the road in the kind of resources that we have. Because you can find a 9 kilometers road where we have residents that are fronting that road, and for every kilometer you have about 1,000 people who have homes along that road. We are talking about very highly populated areas. And therefore it becomes almost impossible, even if we wanted to have a culvert in every home every year. It is work in progress. And even when culverts are available, as Chair, sometimes they block because of human activity, and that is why we need them unblocked before the rains or even during the rains to prevent the runoff, cutting off the road. That is the reason why.
Okay, maybe Senator Dulo, then we finish with Senator.
Yeah, I really want to understand how you engage the road marshals. Since you have said you are paying them quarterly, and there are about 800 of them. Are they casuals? Or do you hire them when need arises? So it's good to understand. Because if they are casuals, you hire them for 3 months and relieve them of their duty. But for these ones, I really want to know how you engage them. Do you give them contract? Or how do you engage them?
Governor?
Thank you, Chair. The road marshals and CHPs are not employees. They're actually volunteers who are paid a stipend to do a noble job. And therefore, a road marshal does not work full-time for the county in 8 to 5. That is why I've said they allocated a section of the road, which is kilometers in their village, which they're responsible and they're answerable to the supervisor, and the chain of supervision runs all the way to the CEC of roads. And therefore, a road marshal may wake up in the morning and work for about 2 hours in clearing the road, and later they go their duties. Otherwise, the 3,000 we pay them as a stipend is nowhere near minimum wage that is stipulated in the law. That is how we engage them.
It's good to understand that, but I really want to know. Of course, CHVs, there is a policy that guides that. But these road marshals, even if they are paid, stipend of 3,000, yeah, you are paying taxpayers' money, and it's good to understand how you engage them, either governed by law or policy that you have passed at the board level. So I really want to know how you engage them.
Yeah, can I answer that, Chair?
Because
yes.
If they wake up every morning, do they wake up every morning and go and do that work? Or do you hire them, after they are finished what they are doing, you relieve them and hire others? So if they are actually employed throughout the year, or maybe for the period that you've been in the office, then those are employees.
Chair, let me refer Senator to the law that was passed in the National Assembly on CHPs. It is exactly the same model, where we have people volunteering and they are paid stipend, because it is based on the measurement of the work they do. They have minimum how much they can do. That is why I've said that every road marshal is allocated section of the road in kilometers. But just to give you comfort, Senator Isiolo, there was public participation. The law was passed in the county assembly. We have a regulation. It is one of the county laws. And that is why it is backed up by all the systems, including the control of budget. Otherwise, we would never get any money to pay them if it was not in law.
Can we have evidence of the same that you have?
Yes, we have a Road Marshals Act, which can be provided within the time the chair allows.
Okay, I'll give direction on that. Senator Mufaya.
Thank you, Chair. I want to agree that we have the road marshals in the Kanithi, and this is one of the best ways maybe of creating employment for our youth. Chair, I would want to know from the governor, because I've been all over the Kanithi for the last few weeks or so. But Governor, we are missing terribly on supervision and oversight. These people are not well supervised, and the ground is not feeling the impact at all. So I don't know whether you have any meaningful mechanisms in place to make sure that the assignment that these people undertake are fully implemented, especially on those roads. Because the idea is very noble, because we have absorbed a lot of youth into some employment of some sort here and there. But of course, the ground is not feeding them as such now. So, Governor, have you put any mechanism to measure the effectiveness of this exercise? Because you could be having a very novel idea which does not maybe translate into what people want on the ground. So could you tell this committee whether there is any meaningful, impactful arrangement that you have put in place to make sure that these road marshals translate your ideas into real actions that people want?
I think that's the most important question out of this. Proceed, Governor.
Chair, the impact by the road marshals physically may be their expectations, but they have cut out jobs on what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to be on the road all the time. If the section of the road that you've been allocated, you've done the work that you're supposed to do manually, you don't have to be seen there all the time in the uniform. And I would like to refer our senator to the time when we had just the rains that were mistaken for El Nino, when we had the tree that fell across the hospital at Marimanti, which would have made it impossible for you to access Nairobi, Senator. You didn't find it the following day because it was cleared in the morning by road marshals. When we had the blocking of the Meru-Embu highway because of routes that were there that you remember very well, all the trees that were fell on the road, without the road marshals, that road, even Senator Muthomi Njuki would not have gotten to Nairobi on that day because the road was cleared within 2 hours, something that sometimes took 2 days to clear the road when such kind of a thing happens. So sometimes it is not their visibility that really matters, is what they do in terms of response to cater for emergencies and especially cut off of roads during rains, including even culverts and bridges. Thank you.
Senator Omtata, as we close, because it's a matter of concern.
Yes, again, from the answer that His Excellency has given, do you provide these people with the equipment for the work they do, including personal protection equipment? And then, where in the budget is that costed, that equipping of these people?
Before you proceed, Senator Sifuna.
Chair, I'm a bit lost by the answer, because if I understood Senator Gataya correctly, he asked what sort of reporting mechanism there is that a person who's not in the position of the governor, for instance, to know about those incidents that he has relate to the committee. How would I, as senator, for instance, looking into the affairs of these marshals, where can I go to see that this is the reporting mechanism of, yes, today they did this, tomorrow they did this, last week they were here? Where is that mechanism and who do they report to? I think that's what the senator was asking.
It's true, Senator Sifuna, and the governor gave us isolated instances. It's true what the governor has said, there's a tree that fell, of course, and all these things, and the calabash and so forth. But I'm very sure the intention of the governor was to make sure that the locals downstream, especially those who are in some parts of Ekangombe, some parts of Baraka, and in other parts in Mara and all these things, especially these weather roads, they are always washed out, maybe during torrential rains here and there. So if you were to go and interrogate Wanjiku in the villages, would that lady say that this road was impassable? We have some young people here who have been able to dig trenches here and there and all these things. So because, Governor, we didn't want value for money. The idea is very brilliant. You might not be having, you as a person, and maybe as a governor, what is this mechanism that you have put in place to make sure that those people are seen working on the ground? And 800 people, Governor, is not a small number. It's something that is supposed to be seen really working for the people.
How many wards do you have in Tharaka Nithi?
15 wards.
15 wards.
Yeah.
So that's an average of
around 200, is it? 15, that's around...
divide by 800?
800, how much is that?
160 marshals per ward. And I was just looking at the number of kilometers of roads you have in Tharaka Nithi. It's about 1,600. So that could be a marshal for every 2 kilometers. Now, if those guys decided to be goons, they can be very effective ones because every inch of the county is covered. Actually, Governor, we are convinced here that these people might be having other miscellaneous responsibilities, which include shutting down political opponents. So, how do you demonstrate value for money? For 33 million, they are 800. They're being paid 3,500. So in a year, you are spending 33 million on them. How is the value for money demonstrable? And I think Senator Mtata had also asked something about how you budget or account for that expenditure.
That's an army. 800 people is not. That's a military.
Yeah, if they decide to run you out of a county, you will not have a space. And really, members, this matter, Senator Sifuna, in Nairobi, I'm told there are some green army.
Yeah, green army.
There's a green army.
Yes.
We had the president the other day talk of launching, I don't know, climate works, something like that. We are now shifting from spurring economic growth so that our young people can be part of it, can be participants, to handouts. We are becoming a welfare state where we'd rather get 800 youth and give them stipends of 3,500 rather than working on the productivity, the base that ensures that we've got a bigger cake for all of us. And I think that as a Senate and as Parliament, we need to come up with a policy. Because in Nairobi, they'll be called climate green army. In Tharaka, they'll be called road marshals. In Isiolo, I think they're just goons, but they're in the payroll. So how should this be a matter that is just?
Migori, they are called what was it?
No, in Migori they are called Sangwenya.
Sangwenya, yes.
In Kisumu they are called something else. Youth. And we are, what is resulting is that we are breeding criminal gangs, criminal enterprises, people who wake up morning to evening, they're just thinking about politics, they're just thinking about the political leaders. Their minds are so indoctrinated that they cannot go out to the farms. But we are not saying that is what Tharaka Nithi is doing. Your senator has asked, and he has said that in your case, it's a good idea. What is the monitoring and evaluation mechanism?
Chair, I was about to be very saddened by the assumption of this Senate that we have goons in the name of road marshals. It's one of the most and the best and a very noble idea that has been born in Kenya. It has actually found its way to Marifa Center for the Council of Governors. And I'm proud to say that one of the persons who passed that bill is seated in this committee. It is Senator Gataya, when he was the MCA in Tharaka Nithi County. And the kind of work they did on that road marshal's idea left no room for political maneuver. For one, those road marshals are not identified by the county. They are identified by the wananchi in the village. They sit down and say, this is a man and this is a woman who we can release to go and be a part of the road marshals program in Tharaka Nithi. And then that means they cannot be having a political allegiance to the governor or any leader by that particular time, because it's done by wananchi. Secondly, Chair, I think there was a problem with your calculation. There are only 53 road marshals per ward. If you were to go by the number of 800 divided by 50, it's only 53. So it does not look like an army as we are saying. And the supervision of the road marshals is domiciled in the Ministry of, or in the Department of Roads and Public Works. It has a very good supervision system that starts with the road marshal themselves. Then they have the lead road marshals. Then we have the ward administrators, sub-county administrators, and eventually it's with the CC himself. And they have accountability to what they do. The 3,500, Chair, the 500 has been for paying, we normally pay for their NHIF, which is say 500 times 12 is 6,000. That is basically what you require to get your cover, which is usually a way of making sure they are protected because of the work they do. If someone got injured or they they contracted a disease because of the work they're doing, they should be able to take care of their families. So it's actually the 3,500, all of it doesn't go to the road marshals, only 3,000 that does, as a way, as just a stipend. If there are concerns about their effectiveness and how they are supervised, my people have heard, we should look at that. But that is not a dark program that was launched in the dark. It was launched in broad daylight, and those people are known.
Chair. Point of order.
Yes, question.
I think through the chair, the question is precise. What are the evaluation and monitoring aspects? How do you, is there a supervisor per sub-county? How do you file reports so that we make progress, Chair? Looking at the time, it's now 30 minutes past midday, and we are still on the first question on HR. So can the governor be concise and precise by telling us in monitoring and evaluation, this is the work of sub-county supervisor? Is it the road supervisor? Is it ward administrator? Is it the sub-county administrator? How do you monitor and evaluate the structure
of monitoring? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the time spent is not time lost because we are dealing with 50% of expenditure in that year. So I think Governor, just give brief responses.
Chair, you know, I just like the way my friend Charagai switches off when...
Order, Governor.
No.
Order.
Governor.
You are completely out of order. Can you go back to your explanation?
Can the governor withdraw and apologize? How can you withdraw it? The other things
first
I
of
can
all,
withdraw, but I cannot withdraw.
First of all, you shall refer to members as senators.
Yes.
Not as Cherargei, the way you refer to him when you meet out on the street.
Yes.
So let's maintain that order.
And we rarely meet, by the way. Can you withdraw and apologize?
But I don't want us to go to that direction. Governor, be orderly. Focus on the question, monitoring and evaluation.
Yeah, I don't know whether whether my crime is actually confessing that Senator Cherargei is my friend, and although he's denying in public that he's my friend. I just few minutes ago, Chair, and you're a witness, explained that
order, Governor.
The road marshal.
Governor, order.
Yes.
If a member seeks clarification, it is your responsibility to provide it, not to say that I have just said it. Please. In one minute, can you address that particular matter so that we look at the other 50% of expenditure?
I repeat.
Senator Sifuna?
Chair, I might not be on the list of the governor's friends, but I want to help him.
I'm not on his list.
Just a minute. I have heard him say, if there are problems with the monitoring and evaluation mechanisms, they will go and look into it. Governor, if it doesn't exist, you just say it doesn't exist, so that you don't run circles around the committee. You just say we have seen that gap, and we will so that we can make progress.
Governor.
Thank you, Chair. I am having a unique experience today. Even my friend Sifuna says I'm not his friend. I'm just very surprised again.
Governor, desist from those love declarations. Let's look at the
remain friendly,
issues.
Chair. Chair, the road marshals program is supervised from the village level, from the road marshals who are supervised by lead road marshals, who answer to the ward administrator, then sub-county administrator, and eventually chief officer roads, and then the CC roads. That is